when we go about creating maps, we think about 4 things: the topic, the data, the angle we might take, and then the form of the graphic. And this is our kind of mantra that we go through every time. And so there may be a topic that we're interested in, and so one topic may be global happiness and how people are feeling about their well-being. The next thing is we say, well, we need to find a data set. So can we go out and find a survey that tells us about people's happiness levels at a global level? And then we start thinking about the angle we might take. So is happiness influenced by how rich people are, for example? So you might look at GDP data and see if there's a pattern there between happiness levels or well-being levels and GDP. And then finally we say, well, if there is a relationship, if there is an interesting story, how do we convey it in a way that is relatable and kind of fun and people can understand it? And so when you're thinking about happiness and well-being, you might think about smiling faces. And so can we adapt a face to show some of the data that we're trying to show? So can you adjust how wide people's eyes are, or how big their grins are, or whether there's like a happiness halo around them? And so if you tweak those dials on each of the faces and maybe enlarge them or shrink them, depending on how affluent the population is in that country, you can then create a map that instantly gives you an impression of global happiness, and the countries that stand out are maybe the ones that are most happy or most sad, and people can then quickly see how the wealth aspect relates to that as well. So that's the kind of the process we go through. We're interested in finding a topic that we think is important, getting the data that we think shows that topic in the best way, taking an angle so that there's a story there, and then finally thinking about the form that the final graphic takes. So the global happiness map, the trends were, in some respects, they were unsurprising. So if you look at Europe or kind of more affluent countries, there tended to be higher levels of well-being, but then there were some exceptions, you know, Bhutan and countries like that, where people were not necessarily wealthy, but they were still happy. And so the nice thing about that map is being able to find those exceptions on the page.